Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for choosing to watch my video, and if you would subscribe it, like it, all that stuff, that'd be great. Otherwise, enjoy the video, and I hope it gives you the information you need and is helpful to you. Take care. Alright, overview for a 2012 3.7 liter Ford F150 water pump replacement. We'll be wanting to get this out of the way. 8mm, a hose here. It's got a little tang on the back side to flip. And release. 8mm here. We'll get this out of the way. And then we'll be down below and we'll be using 8mm and 10mm sockets. We'll be, getting some stuff out of the way. Alright, now the air conditioning belt is a stretch belt. Well, you can see that, but it's in good shape. Then we have our alternator belt over here. This is not a stretch belt. There's a tensioner we can use to loosen that belt. So really what you want to do is probably take off the alternator belt. I know I do. Once you get coolant on belts, they have a tendency to make noise. So we'll take the belt off. We'll take the belt off the alternator because we can. We'll leave the stretch belt alone, and we're going to cover it in plastic. I think actually the Ford description talks about wrapping it in plastic too. So that's what we're going to do to keep it from getting contaminated with coolant. And we'll have that belt off. And then we can start taking stuff apart. 8mm bolts. Take them and get this assembly off. Thermostat housing assembly off. And before we take the belt off, we'll loosen up the 10mm bolts on the water pump pulley. That's the overview there. So we got a 15mm socket and ratchet. Go to the right counterclockwise to loosen the belt and take it off. Just like that. Alright, so I'm going to use my 8mm on a little gun as much as I can, and otherwise I'll certainly switch to a ratchet as needed to break these loose. Three bolts. I think that's all the bolts. Oh, there we go. I'll take the cap off. The coolant will flow a little better. Do we have a bucket down? There's a bucket down there. So hopefully it'll go in the bucket. possibly. There's an O-ring on here, so there's a little friction fit. Sliding off here. Might just bungee this out of the way and do the water pump. Feel it would leak. This one too. Probably won't leak, but we're going to replace them. Just pull them off with a pick or a screwdriver. Alright, then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 bolts for the water pump. I'm going to switch to an air ratchet because of the space here, but again, you certainly just use a ratchet. There it is.
You just couldn't see it.
Out to see if there's, it's loose. I'll loosen them, but looking to see if there's one more down below. Here. Doesn't look like there's any more down there.
No, it came out. There's a nice little prying spot right there.
That's beautiful. Thanks. This is great. It fits right in your belly button, really.
You got to. Hey, check this out. They give you this nice tool right here for this.
That's what they do. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty sweet. So we'll wipe that down with a clean rag. That's probably going to be good. Old water pump has an O-ring built into it. Got a new updated one here from Ford. Gaskets on here. See that there? New design, 3 bolts instead of 4. An additional gasket for some reason. So I like this one though. We'll use this. Put a little antifreeze on here, and then we'll push this into place and bolt it on. Alright, so I've lubricated the O-ring inside the water pump. Got the gasket on there. I've just started 2 bolts just to start it and to make sure the gasket stays in the right place. And we'll just kind of push this on so that lower O-ring gets pushed into place on that lower pipe down there. at the torque specs and tighten those up. We got our new O-ring on there, and we got our new O-ring installed in here. Not quite an O-ring, a little different, but it's good to go. Got some lubricant, coolant in here and over there, and we're just going to push this on and bolt it down. Make sure you start all bolts by hand. Don't want to cross set any of these in the aluminum. Gonna snug them all down by hand here. So they want those bolts, they want them 71 inch-pounds and 45 degrees on those. So we'll just continue to reverse procedure to install. We're going to put our new three bolt pulley on here then, I suppose. 18 foot-pounds for the bolts on the water pump pulley. I'm going to rinse this off really well with some water. And we'll take our plastic off of our stretch belt and then put the alternator belt back on. If you get some squealing, you probably got some coolant on the belt or belts, and then you would, the only way I found to take care of that squealing noise is to replace the belts, unfortunately. So if you find a way to clean belts that have coolant contamination, drop a note in the comments section. So, okay, pulley on, wash it down, tighten the bolts down, put the belt on after taking the plastic off. Back together, just got to tighten up the two clamps on this, cut the hose back on, that's snapped back into place. I'm guessing we'll get about 1.5 gallons of coolant. Whatever comes out you want to put back in. This was just regular old green coolant that came out, so I'm going to put that back in. And when you put the serpentine belt on for the alternator, for me I had no problem tightening the bolts to 18 foot-pounds then on the water pump pulley when the belt was on. So we'll add some coolant right there, and I'll let you know how much goes in for me. And then once it's full, we got a cold fill area here. We'll go a little higher maybe and run it. I'm going to put the HVAC, the heating inside the vehicle, to hot, blowing somewhere so you can feel it, and in about 5 or 10 minutes you should start to feel some warmth, change in temperature, indicating you have coolant flowing through the heater core hoses over there. If maybe after 10 minutes you don't, go ahead and rev it up to about 2,000 RPMs for a minute or two, and you should start to get some coolant then, some heat, going. If not, you can certainly shut it off, wait 20 minutes or half an hour or something, wait, and open this back up, and maybe you had an air pocket, and see if you can add more here. That's replacing your water pump. Then on your 3.7 liter Ford pickup truck, and probably wherever else they put the 3.7 liter 2012. Alright, so I'm using a vacuum filling machine type thingamajigger, and I got about 2 gallons in, so that's something to shoot for. And again, we'll run it, top it off as needed after running it to operating temperature and letting it cool off. So drive it 10-15 miles, and then or let it run in your driveway for an hour, I suppose, but get it hot. So both radiator hoses are hot.